Hi guys, welcome to the live broadcast for the Vendor 101 course. Of course, my name is Rochelle. I am, I wonder if I can edit this. Hi, I'm just going to give those of you who have the link time to come into the room and we'll start talking about this course that I have to offer. Now, most of you who are viewing this are familiar with me, but if you are not, my name is Rochelle. I'm a licensed cosmetologist with over a decade of experience in sourcing hair from overseas vendors. I'm sure you've heard me say that. If you're a subscriber of my YouTube channel, I'm sure you've heard me say that over and over and over again in a lot of my videos. Well, the reason why I say that is not to stroke my own ego, but to let you guys know that I have some sort of credentials when it comes to sourcing hair, specifically being in the hair extension business. Now, I offer my insight to you from a stylist perspective. So if there's an issue, say you're trying to figure out what type of hair sells the best, or what type of hair certain women of certain age ranges tend to purchase, I have a little bit more insight as far as actually in the salon and who's buying hair, you know, for real, not some theory or, I'm guesstimating. I actually know. Now, a lot of you who watch my channel, you know that I always talk about the vendor search. Well, I want to share with you a little bit about why I like that and why I focus on that. So, when I first started doing hair, I decided I wanted to specialize in weaving. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, if you're a hairstylist or you've been to a hairstylist, you know what a weave is, right? It's sew and weave. So most of my clientele, once I decided that that's what I wanted to specialize in, I can do other types of hair, but I really wanted to specialize in sewing weaves because I guess I like the transformation aspect of weaving. You know, you start off with short hair and then in the span of 2 3 hours you have a long hair. I love that and I still love that to this day. The only issue that I was coming across is I really felt some kind of way about sending my customers to the beauty supply store. I would see other stylists in other cities across the country sell hair, but I had no clue on what to do. So I, like with anything, when you research, what do? You Google. So I took to the internet and I scoured the internet every night before I went to bed. After I got off work, I got online and I searched for how to start my own hair extension line because it didn't make any sense. I'm spending all this time sewing in weaves in people's heads, and I was sending them to the beauty supply store. And so the beauty supply store was taking a cut of my money. I didn't like that. Okay, especially when you first start out, you're trying to hold on to all your clients and make as much money as you can, right? So, anyway, like I said, I would go online and look up different websites. And I stumbled upon Alibaba.com. Now, here on YouTube, I saw some videos about people talking about it, but they were mainly sourcing wigs. Remember when lace front wigs started becoming really popular? And I had some clients that liked lace front wigs, but it didn't work for everybody. I was looking for bundled hair. Okay, I was looking for tracks, aka tracks. So I went on Alibaba.com. I did some searching, and from my limited knowledge of different terms like wefts and Remy and virgin hair, whatever. And I've actually have worn hair, but you buy it from the beauty supply store, and I realized, what, there's got to be more. It's got to be a better quality hair out there. So anyway, fast forward to more Google searching, I saw that a lot of people were ordering hair from overseas using Alibaba.com vendors. Okay, they would go on there, they would search for vendors, and they would try them out, and it was trial and error for real. back then, you may have heard me say this, but we didn't have PayPal. We had Western Union. And a lot of the women on there, like I said, online were searching for wigs, lace front wigs, and things like that. And there were some women who were basing their whole businesses on customizing. They would get the stock wigs and they would customize the wigs. And I'm like, okay, I want to get the West. So there really wasn't any guidelines. It was just trial and error. And to be honest with you, I made a lot of mistakes. I ordered a lot of crappy hair. I spent out of thousands and thousands of dollars on, I would put money to the side for my vendor search. And through that whole process, I was able to figure out how to get high quality hair. Now, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then. YouTube wasn't as big as it was now. So I just started my hairline and started selling hair to my customers locally. So I don't typically sell or promote my hairline here on YouTube. I really want to focus on helping and serving hairstylists or future beauty entrepreneurs like you. And I realized that there's a lot of channels about, starting hairlines and selling hair, but there was a little niche there for me in the market. And a lot of people weren't talking about full blown detailed vendor searching. Okay. Like I said, I made a lot of mistakes, but I want to talk to you guys about some of those mistakes. Now, on my YouTube channel, I do talk about, I'm sure some of you have seen my videos about the vendor scams and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff I went through. So I decided, you know what? Let me set up a YouTube channel and share with you guys on those types of topics, because a lot of people were not talking about those topics because it may happen to them. They may be embarrassed that they sent this vendor a bunch of money and got crappy hair or no hair at all. So I just wanted to be that person that would talk about that topic and help people out. So within that process, you know that I wrote an ebook called Secrets Revealed. Now, through the process of doing consultations with people with this particular ebook that I had, I realized that people were still struggling because it's a very detailed process. The process is very detailed. And I think that's why a lot of people don't talk about it, because they are doing trial and error and they don't really have the process down packed. Like I said, on my YouTube videos, I talk about some of the aspects of the vendor search, but a lot of it does not. A lot of my videos do not convey the full blown vendor search process. Now, I want to talk to you about why a lot of people are struggling with the vendor search process, and that is part of the reason why I am doing this live, to talk to you about a very special opportunity. It's actually an e-course that I have available to further assist you guys. Okay, so one of the main reasons I see it, like I said, through months of consultations, for those of you who have purchased the ebook, you know that a lot of people purchase their hair from the beauty supply store. And so the issue is that a lot of people are still trying to look for Yaki hair, or, the popular brands like Milky Way or things of that nature, or Remy. I talk about that in the course. Remy hair does not mean anything basically when you are searching for vendors. Okay, if you are using those terms, it's probably why you're not seeing the success that you should see. Also, one of the issues that people do is they tend to skip parts of the process. I detail, specifically step by step. I walk you through the process because it's a very detailed process. On top of that, you will have to spend some money to sample hair from these vendors. So you don't want to waste your money frivolously sampling any vendor and every vendor. There are some vendors that you would not even contact. Okay, that is the reason why I talk about stuff like this on my channel. And that's the reason why I'm offering the course today. Now, another reason, aside from using beauty supply store terms, people tend to only get one, two vendors, contact that vendor, spend a month or two trying to communicate with those two vendors, wasting time, and then finally deciding they want to order from that vendor, and then they get the hair and it's not the hair that they want. So they throw their hands up and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm not going to start a business. That is another issue that I see. You need to have at least 5 or 6 potential vendors. Okay, it's a numbers game. Now, when you first start out, you need to collect as much data, aka as many vendors' information as you can that fits a certain criteria. Now, I've talked about some things about vendors using Alibaba.com. I also talk about using DHgate, but there are many other websites that you can use to find vendors from Asia. Now, my specialty is finding vendors from Asia. Why? Because the majority of the hair that we wear, that I have, and I'm sure some of you are wearing, is from Asia. It's either from India, China, and now we're seeing a huge influx of hair coming from Southeast Asia. Now, I really want you to understand that that is the focus of most of what I do, and also the focus of the course, because that hair is what your customers, your potential customers, are used to purchasing. Okay, so that's why I'm focusing on that. I realize there are other avenues, there are other businesses who outside of the realm of Asia sell hair, but we really want to focus, and I always focus on manufacturers because you want the best opportunity to get the best hair. Okay, why go through this whole process when you simply find out at the end of the process that you were dealing with a dealer, someone who does not have control over the construction of your frontals, over the construction of your closures, over the construction of your wefts. And we're spending time and we're spending effort and we're spending money. So I really want you guys to understand that this is a very detailed process. Okay. So, like I said, a lot of people are having struggles because they're using beauty supply store terms. A lot of people are struggling because they're only focusing on one or two vendors and that's it. They're not using various different websites, various different resources. Now, these resources that I instruct you to use are free. They're available as long as you have a strong internet connection and you can go through the website. You have a computer. And I like to use a desktop version of a lot of these websites because it's easier to navigate. Okay. So a lot of people are struggling, and I really wanted to help people because I see a lot of people still making those mistakes. Also, I'm sure you've heard me talk about origins. A lot of these origins are just marketing ploys that some of the vendors use. Now, I realize that there are still a lot of vendors that use those marketing ploys, but what I instruct in my course is that those of you who are wanting to do this yourself, you're a DIY type person, you want to go through the process with me, I really instruct you guys to not focus on vendors that use that heavily, like Malaysian, Peruvian, Brazilian. Some of these vendors, that's what they base their whole product line on. So you want to steer clear of those types of businesses. Now, in the course, I also give you a detailed checklist to vet the vendors products that they have. So we're using online resources, we're going on the websites, and we are sourcing vendors first. It's like a funnel. So at the top of the funnel, you are collecting data. So you're collecting all the vendors from different regions that you're interested in. Like I said, this is in Asia. So you have Chinese vendors, you have Indian vendors, and you have Southeast Asian vendors. You're collecting as much information. You're collecting their contact information, okay, to contact them. So you need at the top of the funnel is wide, okay? And we're not talking about a sales funnel. We're not talking about a marketing funnel. That's something totally different. But I just want to give you a visual on what I'm talking about. At the top of the funnel is all of those contacts, okay? All of those contacts. And then the contacts whittle down to the bottom, okay? So you're starting out with 10 contacts. You're contacting these people throughout the series of a week or a month or 2 months. It depends on the amount of time you put into the process. That is one of the top questions I get. How long does it take? Well, as much effort as you put into it. It could take you a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, depending on how much effort you put into the process. But typically, if you're diligent, it would typically take you about a month to get down to the bottom part of the funnel where you're actually sampling the hair. Okay. At the top of the funnel, we're not sampling these hair yet. We're simply collecting the vendor's information, and we're going down, we're contacting the vendors, and then based on other criteria, then you order from the vendors to test the quality of the product that they sell. So that's another mistake that I see a lot of people making. They want to test and sample from and contact every single vendor on the websites. You're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to waste a lot of money. Okay. So a lot of people want to do this process. A lot of people need the assistance of someone who's actually been through the process. Okay. So if you are that type of person, I have a vendor course coming up for you. The vendor is a vendor course to help you navigate through websites like Alibaba.com and DHgate. Of course, there are many, many other websites. So for those of you who are interested in machine wefts, for those of you who are interested in frontals and closures, I will talk about that in the course. Again, this is going to be Asian hair. It's going to be dark colored hair. Okay. So if you are thinking about starting your business, you don't have a vendor yet, and you want to go through the process of finding a vendor online. Also, if you already have a business, but you're unsatisfied with the quality of your hair, or you're kind of in the middle. I have a lot of people who are currently taking my course who are kind of in the middle of the process. They've contacted vendors, but they're not having success because they're not following the process. They don't have a process of elimination. So they're also taking the course as well. Now, the enrollment phase for the course is currently open. So if you're interested in taking the course is $99. However, because you took the time to sign up for this live, I will take off $50 for those of you who are interested in taking the course. As I said, enrollment starts now. The course is, I would say typically the students that I have right now in the course is taking us about 3 weeks to get through the course material. So you have the first part is broken into 3 modules. The first part is, like I said, we're going through the process of getting you acclimated with the proper terms to use during the vendor search, okay? Like I said earlier, a lot of people are using inappropriate terms to source the hair. So that's why a lot of people, that's pretty much the biggest issue that people are having. They're communicating with vendors the wrong way, or they're using the wrong terms to search for vendors. Okay. If you've used Alibaba.com, I talk about that in part of the course as well. You know that there's a lot of hair. If you try to look at it on Alibaba.com, there's a lot of hair on there. You need a process. That's what the course talks about. So in the first module, I basically do an assessment, see where everybody is in the process. We talk about the terms, the proper terms to use. So when we get to the second half of the module, we are talking about different parts of the hair products. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, you have your bundles, aka machine wefts. Those of you may be familiar with machine wefts. That is the top part. That's the track. You know what people call tracks? That's the machine weft part of the hair. Now, some of you may already know that, But I go through that because I see through in some of my consultations as well. Some people are asking vendors for tracks. Some people are asking vendors for 1B30 hair and get upset when they order that hair and the hair isn't to the quality that they want it to be. So that's the goal here. We want to teach you, I'm going to teach you the proper terms, the proper things to look at. We're going to look at, I'm going to show you a video of me showing you different parts of the weft. I also talk about frontals and how a quality frontal should look. We talk about ventilation. We talk about the different densities and things like that so that you can get natural looking closures and frontals, okay? And then by module 3, we segue into actually pairing that information from both of those modules. I pair that into the module at the end, and that's module 3. And that's when we start contacting, or actually, we start what we're going to do is we're going to collect at least 5 or 6 vendors, okay, from each website. So I talk about Alibaba.com, I talk about DHgate, I talk about several other websites. We go into that process. Remember, at the top of the funnel, I will instruct you how to use all of those terms to get as many vendors as you can, typically 5 per website if you can. And then we go through the process and we end the course at the module where we're contacting the vendor. Now, for those of you who are past that part, if you're a little more intermediate, if you're past intermediate actually, and you're more advanced, and you already have ordered from vendors and you know the whole process, this may not be a course for you. But those of you who are struggling, I really suggest you take this course. It's slow going in the beginning because I have to go through the process, but at the end, I hit the ground running, and we go to, and I'll show you how to actually go through each vendor and source each vendor. I provide a checklist for you so you are not confused as to what criteria to use to vet the actual vendor. And then, like I said, towards the end, at the end of the course, I talk about taking that information and how to properly contact the vendor to get more information from said vendor. Now, I don't talk about testing hair and things like that in this course. So if you are a little more advanced, I have another course coming up. I'll have more details towards that in a later video. But this video is really going to help a lot of you who have no clue. You're starting out in your hair business journey and you don't have a vendor and you want to find your own vendor. Now, this is totally different from those of you who have purchased vendor lists from other people, okay? That's something you could take this course if you want to, but this is more of a course for a DIY type person. It's a very popular course. I have quite a few people in my course right now. We're at the bottom part of the course. We're in the searching for vendors portion of the course. So if you want to get in on the course, as I stated, it's open now for those of you who are interested. As I stated, I have a special promotional code. The special promotional code will be LIVE, LIVE 1, okay? Live 1. Live 1. Like I said, the course is regularly priced $99. However, if you have the vendor, the code for the vendor search course 101, this is where at the top of the funnel. If you're struggling, you need the course and you also need the code. So the code expires in 48 hours. Now the course will always be available for you to take. I will detail that information once I post the live, or if those of you who have missed the live, you need a replay. The replay will also be available. I will put it up for you. Again, this live will not be available on my public page. This live is only available for those of you who signed up for my vendor search mailing list. So if you're on the vendor search mailing list, you're already seeing this video as appreciation for watching this live. I will give you the live one discount code. That's live one discount code. Okay. So I will keep in touch with you. Again, if you're on the mailing list, you will be on top of the replays and any other information that is going on regarding the course. Okay. Again, this has been Rochelle, and I will see you in another live. Bye.